Good morning. Okay, so 1997, journal number 4. By now, I'm becoming a professional journaler. I mean, I'm really getting into this. And I've had people ask me, since I've been doing these videos, like, what do you do in your journal? And so I'm going to share, because I happen to make a list of things to journal in one of the pages in journal number 4. And we'll tally them up at the end. So here's a list of X number of things that you can do. One of the things that I find very useful reflecting on them now is these snapshots of life, of the interesting things that were happening to me. In the first journal, I was sharing a lot about, because it was the first time that I'd been to a lot of places, like going to Sausalito and going to Palm Springs and seeing these things and reading these vivid kind of descriptions bring me immediately back there. So you're anchored to those moments. I mentioned that this journal is the beginning of 1997, and that was my transition to Florida. I was moving down now to Florida full time, and we drove down, my friend Steve Honsinger and I drove, and I'd forgotten about this, but going through, I was describing, it was January when we left, and it was like the most horrible snowstorm. Like, it was complete whiteout. There were 20-car pileups on the way, and we left, and we only got to Windsor the first night. But I was recounting this whole thing of what was happening, and it was just so great to be able to document that journey, going to Knoxville and Savannah, Georgia. And I can relive those moments in a way that if I thought about them, I might be able to do it. But looking back at it from 30 years, you're going to be thankful that you took the time to just kind of snapshot, and not in a Dear Diary way, but in a Dear Diary way of looking and just kind of making the observations that you make and the feelings that you're feeling, especially if they're like peak experiences or outlier experiences, or sometimes negative experiences, things that you want to kind of just get your thoughts out there. So that's the way. Number 1 is the snapshot of life that as it's happening. Number 2 is creating snapshots of the future. And I've talked about the ultimate scenarios of imagining just going forward and writing out a vignette of what it's going to look like. What is the cover on the box of the puzzle that you're trying to put together? What's that going to look like? What's your vision? My friend Cameron Harold talks about your idea of creating a vivid vision. And the more clear you are on what something is going to look like when it's completed, the more specific your mind gets in coming up with ideas on how to make those things happen. So creating those snapshots and ultimate scenarios for the future are fantastic. Number 3 is conversations with myself. And I've found a lot of this journal and a lot of the bulk pages that are happening in these journals now are full dialogues with myself as I'm working things out. And it's very helpful because, again, you get now looking back, it's the gift that you get to enjoy twice. You get to enjoy it as you're doing it, but it's also a gift when you're looking back at it. Like I can say, looking back from 30 years to now is it's really great to be able to see the way I was thinking and the things that I was rolling over in my mind. Number 4 is creating mind maps or flow charts or storyboards, visual planning of things. I don't want to give it away, but there's a very special page in this journal where we've got the very beginning of the 8 profit activators. So I'm going to save that for later. But that came from storyboarding, flow charting, the process, recognizing benchmarks so that you can put some creative thinking to how to make those things happen. Another, what am I, number 4? 4 way is 4 or 5. Things that drive me crazy. I like these 1 question pages where you just ask a question and then list 5 or 10 or more things. Like one of those great questions is things that drive me crazy. And so I would pay attention to things that were recurring, things that consistently come up. And then I would look on buffer days and look to see how could I make those things better? What could I do to get rid of some of those things? Next is, what do I want? That's a great thing. If you just make a list. I remember, so in writing here, and I'll share some of these with you, but I would write down things that what I want as like a future shopping list. So you're starting to see these things creeping up, like a Porsche 911 keeps presencing in the things. And spoiler alert, it's coming up very soon here as I'm moving down to Florida. But that was a thing that started on the journal of, what do I want? And you can define that any way. What do I want in this situation? Or what do I want for my life? What do I want for my days? Another question that I ask is, how can I, and then ask that question, whatever it is. How can I, and fill in the blanks. And whenever you pose a question to your mind, you're immediately drawn to fill that vacuum by getting an answer. It's like querying your mind here, right? And this was, pre-Google. I keep thinking 1997, we always refer to our brain as a search engine, but we didn't even know what was a search engine in 1997, right? So looking back, I see the journey of just asking a question that can be, that can direct your mind into coming up with answers. Then I call this idea an idea machine. And I mentioned it where I would take specific things, take a specific segment of a storyboard, and really get deep into creating ideas around that specific segment of the idea. Like when I look at the timeline storyboards of the home buyer experience, one of the questions that I would ask is coming up with ideas of, how could I create an opportunity where people refer somebody to us before the end of the transaction? And that leads to the thinking of, well, what's going on? Well, when somebody is buying a house, as soon as they move in, the next 30, 60, 90 days, it's going to be the first topic of conversation with everybody that they know. Oh, we got a new house. Oh, you got to come and see the house. Oh, we bought a house. Oh, we're living over in there. We just moved. All of the conversations that they're having are going to be about this new vector change in their life that they bought this new house. And when those conversations come up, that's a great time for people to refer. So I was thinking about all of those ideas there. And then the next thing is things I've learned. So when I look at this, I read a lot, and I still read a lot all the time. And I'm constantly processing what I'm learning in my journals so that I can distill the best parts of what I'm learning, but I'm also reinforcing it by writing it out by hand, and I'm comparing it to the other things that I'm also reading. Like when I was talking about the intersection of the one-to-one future and the 7 veins of consumption, the 7 things that people spend money on, and the real estate agents, that combination becomes a really valuable thing. So there is some number of things that you can either start with or add to your journaling sessions. And one thing that people often ask is, well, when do you journal? And, it doesn't matter really when. It's just an integrated habit. I journal almost every morning is the thing that I'm doing. I've got a great environment for doing it, and I'm constantly, I feel lost if I don't have my journal to continue to write things. So I think getting in the habit will be a great gift for you. I got a funny email the other day from Rick. It says, Dean, question. Are you saying you can teach me to make fat stacks by hanging out at a pub, drinking coffee like you? And I laughed to myself because I was thinking, yes, I can do that. That's what I do. Is the funny thing, what I really realized is that every idea that I've had, every dollar that I've made over the last 30 years has gone through my brain, through my pen, onto a piece of paper in my journal before it went out into the real world. And if I can turn people onto that activity as a driver for what to do, what to think about, what to ask yourself to draw out what the next most valuable action is for you, and how to find the most profitable things that you can install in your business, I'm all for it. So this Friday at 1 p.m., I'm going to do, for the first time, a 50-minute profit finder workshop. And you're going to join me live on Zoom, and we're going to go through a 50-minute exercise. Bring your pen, bring a notebook or piece of paper, and I'm going to guide you through a thinking process that will help you identify where the lowest hanging fruit is in your business, and maybe some fruit that you didn't even know was there, but I'm going to show you where to look for it. So it's free. It's for you. It's Friday at 1 p.m. this Friday. Just go to, what did we call the website, Josh?
50-minute profit finder.
Just go to 50minuteprofitfinder.com and I'll get you all the details, and hopefully you can join us then Friday, 1 p.m.